In 1996, the people of Varginha, Brazil, witnessed a UFO event that would change their lives forever.
Só que ele planava, ia perdendo lentamente a altitude e ia caminhando.
Call it another Roswell, if you will. It is a crashed vehicle that had beings on board.
That was just a taste of the new film, Moment of Contact, which poses the question, do UFOs exist? Well, if the truth is out there, a team of space experts at NASA, they're ready to find out. Earlier this week, NASA announced it has launched an independent study into UFOs. One of the researchers on the team is retired NASA astronaut Scott Kelly. They will analyze data. The group isn't trying to determine exactly what UFOs are, but they're going to try to hash out exactly how NASA should study the phenomenon moving forward. Again, studying that data that is out there. I spoke with James Fox, the director and producer of the film Moment of Contact, to get his thoughts on what NASA is undertaking.
My thoughts are Bill Nelson, it's been rumbling now for over a year. Bill Nelson, the head of NASA, has made some startling statements regarding the phenomenon. I mean, he was basically, look, these things are real. We don't know what they are. We should find out. And I think that dates back to when he sat on the Senate. It's a Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. As a senator, he was debriefed, I'm told, stuff that remains classified. And so I'm a little disappointed that NASA is not going to have access to the classified information, because when I met with Senator Harry Reid, the former Senate Majority Leader, he told me that what's been released is, he told me this on camera, what's been released is only the tip of the iceberg. The classified stuff is the most compelling evidence, and that's the stuff that we'd really like to see.
So in 2022, are you thinking to yourself, in the general population, it's about time that this is happening? And do people call you, friends, colleagues, and say, we knew this was coming, where we are now?
Well, you know, surprisingly, I never thought, I couldn't imagine that we would be discussing, you know, potential UFO crashes and recovery of bodies and debris, and close encounters of the third kind. But I'll remind the audience that the United States Air Force in the 50s and 60s, with the help of Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who was their scientific advisor, classified UFO reports is classified as close encounters of the first kind when someone reports a UFO, close encounters of the second kind when someone reports a UFO and that UFO interacts with the environment. Very similar to what happened in 2004 with the Nimitz case off the coast of San Diego, where pilot David Fravor for the Navy described seeing this thing with 3 other pilots, recording it on his cockpit recording devices, and picking it up both on airborne radar and ground-to-air radar. So extremely compelling evidence. But one thing that's not being discussed today are close encounters of the third kind. And again, I remind you guys that these are classifications that the United States Air Force made in the 50s and 60s, and yet they're not being discussed today.
Two-pronged question. When did your fascination or your studies begin in your life? And what do you say to doubters, if you say anything at all?
Well, you know, I totally understand a skeptical point of view. I think it's a healthy point of view, and it's what's needed in this kind of crazy world of UAPs or UFOs. However, I say suspend judgment, listen to the eyewitness testimony, particularly military, civilians as well, and draw your own conclusions. Look, we've got photographic evidence, that's a fact, cockpit recorded evidence, radar confirmation, visual confirmation, and we have the intelligence communities and military stating that these things are real. We just don't know what it is. Now, there's some talk periodically of, oh, well, it could be China, it could be Russia. Well, I actually went to Russia and I went to China and I spoke with generals in both of those places. And they're like, yeah, it's not us.
So as a kid, did you start with the fascination?
I'm so sorry?
As a child, did this begin? And when did you start kind of deep diving into this?
I started looking into it when the Roswell incident was really making headline news back during the Clinton administration.
Yeah.
It was coming up on the 50th anniversary, and there were all these conferences, and I thought, you got to be kidding me! How could a UFO crash and bodies recovered and the whole world not know about it? I just had a really hard time believing it. But the more I started digging into it, the more military witnesses that were coming forward, and then you had the sixth man to walk on the moon, Dr. Edgar Mitchell, Apollo 14, and he really kind of inspired me. And I thought, well, I'll do a film on the topic. I'll figure out what's going on. Perhaps we're just getting periodic visitation, and the governments, for whatever reason, are covering this up for the general public. But here I am, 6 films later, and I still don't know what's going on. There's clearly objects of unknown origin that are whizzing around with impunity. They exhibit a technology that is far beyond anything that we have. I mean, listen to David Fravor describe a cat and mouse chase with this thing. A tic-tac with no wings, no tail, no visible means of propulsion, the ability to hover, accelerate from a standstill to out of sight in the blink of an eye, and do right-angle turns at high speeds. And all this without any weight, without any noise, without any visible means of propulsion at all. We simply don't have that. And we haven't had that. And that's the observed technologies dating back, at least the 47, and a lot of people would say a lot further than that. So the phenomenon is real, it's global. We should find out what it is. We should put more resources at it and had more transparency. I'm a firm believer in that.
If anyone is to sway a skeptic, it certainly is you. James Fox, thanks.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on. I hope you enjoy Moment of Contact.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, bye.
And it is available, his new film, Moment of Contact. You can see it on Amazon Prime and Vudu.